What's going on? What's going on? It's Monday. It's the end of the day. Let's get this party started. Well, people, thank God the day is over. Appreciate y'all listening in. It's the Fan from the Stands podcast. Today is February 10th, 2025. The rundown for today is Lufkin soccer scores. Lufkin Panthers took on Jacksonville on Friday night in basketball. Updated rankings, including the playoff opponent possibility, Lufkin baseball results, and our special guest, the new and head coach, AD Carl Absek. In soccer action, Lufkin Lady Girls fall to Mount Pleasant 2-1. The boys played Mount Pleasant as well. They draw 0-0 against Mount Pleasant. Lufkin boys basketball dominated another dominant win, 72-27 over Jacksonville. Players that stood out: Austin Brown with 28, Javarius White with 14, and the Lufkin defense. They were swarming. The defense was just dominant. They really set the tone, especially the guards. Really pushed Jacksonville out, disrupted a lot of their game. A lot of the passes that Jacksonville was trying to get made a lot of them really long. Just overall, the defense gets a lot of credit for Friday night. Other stats from that night: Bryson Skinner with 2 points, B.J. Thomas with 7, Dalen Newman with 3 points, Marcellus Parks with 7, C.J. Burst with 6, Jacavian Sanders with 2, and Kevo Big Shot Moore with 3 points. The updated rankings for the TABC 5A boys basketball in Lufkin remains at 10th in the state. Our possible playoff opponent could be either Melissa or Walnut Grove, but as of right now, it looks most likely to be Melissa, who has an stud, an all-state caliber player in Austin Goolsby. Lufkin results in baseball look as such. Lufkin took on PNG, if you didn't know, Port Neches Grove in a scrimmage, winning 11-2. All right, people, the moment we've all been waiting for, the big coup de grace, the big show, as they say. Our new and head athletic director and head coach, Carl Absek. All right, I'm here with the new AD and the head coach, Carl Absek. Coach, appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
Yes, sir. No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Coach, your overall record is 102-27. That's pretty impressive. You won a state championship at Cedar Park, went 16-0. I just fans want to know what got you into coaching, especially football.
Well, I mean, my coach from high school was a very big influence on my career, my decision making as far as to be a coach. Pete Hart, who's still very active in the coaching world up in Wise County. But he was a big influence on that piece of it. Just the fact that I love sports, and that was the best way to stay involved in that side of things, was to eventually evolve from a player to a coach, and it's been my career ever since.
Gotcha. Where is that located?
Wise County is to the west, northwest of Fort Worth.
Okay.
So Bridgeport was where he was my coach at Bridgeport High School, or one of my coaches, and so he's been around to most all of Wise County at some point nowadays.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, one question I was going to ask is, what made you choose Lufkin over all the programs? I'm sure I had a buddy over the weekend said, "Man, y'all got the biggest hire in East Texas," in his opinion. So,
well, I think it's a school that's definitely rich in tradition. Obviously, that piece is important. I played them at all three levels this year in football, and so I got to see the type of kids that here, and that part is exciting to work with as a coach, is just being able to have kids that love the game, and I could see that they love the games with how they played when we played this year. Their athletics, so it gives you an opportunity to really grow something that could be special, and so that part with the history and tradition, you walk through that locker room and there's just picture after picture of of guys that have gone on to the next level and to the NFL and really left their mark on high school football. And it all started right here in Lufkin. And so I was excited about the potential of that. And then obviously being the athletic director was a big piece of what brought me here as well. I do enjoy that aspect of the job, being involved in all the different athletics. And so there were a lot of factors in that. And so just the rich tradition and the opportunity for success was very attractive.
Yes, sir. Well, you talk about tradition. I've been going to Lufkin Panther football games for a long time since my grandfather and my daddy took me in mid '90s, and they've had a lot of success over the years. You know, you talked a little bit about it. Jaworski Lane, some Des Bryant, a lot of success, a lot of great players come through, and we're excited to have you. So, take us through the beginning steps of creating a championship culture here in Lufkin. What does that look like?
Well, part of it is just instilling the work ethic and the off season mentality that you expect, and how you work with how they work with each other. You know, getting all the coaches on board with the way that I do things. You know, every coach is different in how they run their program and the different aspects of their program through off season and into the summer and things like that. So I'm first thing is really getting to know the coaches, and then obviously bringing in some coaches that to replace some of the ones that had other opportunities to go and coach at other schools. So you got to get in good staff that really will buy into the ideas that you're selling. But then you got to start installing your offense and your defensive philosophy, and then matching it up to the talent level that you have, because every year is different. You can't, every year you can't say I'm going to do this, that, and the other. I got to take the abilities and the skills that we have, and then mold the offense and the defense around those things specifically to maximize who they are. So between that and then getting your off-season philosophy installed, and then the workout things that you do, really at that point it's about getting to know the kids and starting to develop those relationships, because that's the biggest piece in coaching to me is the relationship that you develop with your kids.
For sure. Well, that kind of goes into the next question. Tell us a little about your skill development in the off season. What does that look like?
Once we get to that particular phase, then we're going to go in and start in installing different phases of our offensive scheme and our defensive schemes, and then we're going to work those skills specific. If we have a 60 minutes session, I mean, for me, offensively speaking, I mean, there's going to be a good 30 to 40 minutes of that where you're catching a million balls, you know, and running a million routes, as far as whether it may be the whole route or just the top of the route, whatever it is, we're gonna work those specific skills over and over and over and catch balls over and over and over again, so that it becomes second nature. And you can take a young man who's maybe not got the most natural ball receiving skills, and over time catching enough balls, you can develop that. And so we're going to do every one of those pieces, whether it be a receiver or the offensive line is going to start working stance starts, first steps, and then progress from that to a drive or to a pass pro, working our pass pro technique, because we do throw the ball a lot. It's going to be a lot of pass pro technique where it's one step and then three steps and then working through it where it's live or semi-live situational deal where they've got to learn responsibilities and how we're going to check that based on what blitz is being shown or what front they're seeing. So we start installing every part of that. It's we meet whole part whole. So you're going to talk about it as a whole piece, and then you're going to work out the pieces of it and then put it all back together.
Sure. Well, one thing you kind of talked a little bit about earlier about your relationships. That's a big deal to you as a coach. What are some core values that you instill in your program or athletes?
It's going to be work ethic, responsibility, being able to be accountable. I think all the accountables, accountability is probably the biggest thing that they have to be, whether it's to the program, to their teammates, to their teachers. Everything has accountability attached to it. But I want the kids to be accountable. I want them to be, to demonstrate tremendous work ethic. And then the big piece, other than that, is to be a good teammate. And so you start talking to them about how we do that. there's plenty of guys in that room, the coaches, that are going to chew on people for doing things wrong. So I want them to learn to raise each other up, to be a good teammate, to lift them when they're having a tough time, when encourage them through a workout when it's getting tough. Those are the things I want them to be, and then let us be the negative guys, if you will, to some degree, because in coaching there's always some you know focus or redirect on a negative, whether it be a bad decision or whether it's poor technique. We'll fix that. I want them to be encouraging each other and lifting each other up and pushing them to keep going. We call it next play mentality.
Yes, sir. Well, I'll be honest with you, Coach. Some of those things is awesome because that translates not just off on the field but off the field,
Right.
and after high school. You talked about relationship, encouraging one another. That's something that can be instilled in every part of their
Right.
life. So,
Well, we talk about it, and I'll say this in my parent meetings when we have our parent meeting, hopefully in late April, mid-April, is that if the only thing I teach them or do for them is teach them football, coach them football, then I've failed them overall, because I've got to teach them to be good young men and productive members of society, good husbands, fathers, and so on. That's part of it too. It's not just about football, and that's where the relationship piece really comes in, is that they have to know that I care about them more than just as a football player. They got to know I care about them as people,
right.
and that I'm here for them as people, not just as my players.
Right. Yes, sir. Well, I've been a guy that has played a lot of sports and been around a lot, and I 100% agree with you. I love that aspect of it's not just about winning; it's about having those relationships and letting them know you do care. It's something outside of sports.
The winning part takes care of itself
For sure.
if you do all the other things the right way.
Right.
And the stronger you can create those bonds, the more we can reinforce those things, and the more they get in the habit of doing things right on a daily basis, the winning part will take care of itself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, describe the identity of what you have in mind for Lufkin football.
We're going to be fast and physical on defense. Attention to detail as far as assignment oriented, and then go and make plays on the ball. I mean, that's really what I want to see. There's fast and furious, swarm the ball, get after it, have a good time. Offensively, we're going to be obviously as multiple as we can be based on what we have available. But if you're asking me what I'd like to be, it's like basketball on grass. We're going to play fast. We're going to throw it around the yard. Uh, and then obviously we have some really talented running backs back from last year.
Sure.
So I think the biggest deal is we'll distribute the ball around. We've had years where we had 3,000-yard receivers in 1 year. So
Right.
it's not like it's going to be a one-man show. If we have guys that can make play, we're going to give them opportunities to make play and distribute the ball like a good point guard does in basketball.
Yes, sir.
So that's what I'd like to see. We're going to play fast and really that be the case on both sides. But offensively, we're going to attack from a lot of different places. Defensively, we're going to line up and then we're going to swarm the ball and get there with bad attitude.
Yes, sir. Well, I know in terms of this next season, the schedule's kind of already been set. Tell us a little bit about maybe next season in terms of like who maybe you're looking for in terms of pre-district. Is there any specific schools or just overall any different aspects you're looking for next?
I would say I would have to give somewhat of a generic answer.
Okay,
I'm going to try
that's
to
fine.
find people who will help us grow and mature. Really, the biggest thing I've always done when I've created a schedule is try to test us in advance of when we get to district, because I want to really know what it is that we have to get good at before we get to district play. With that being said, there's always some traditional games that you probably don't want to lose, like a long view.
Right.
And so that part will be me learning, what is important, and then obviously depending on the size of your district, how many of those that you have. But I get the historical piece of it, and then also the growth piece, and so that's where my focus is. I'm not necessarily worried about like wins and losses. I want to see growth, and for us to be able to identify what we are good at, what we need to get better at to get where we want to be at the end of the season when it matters the most.
Gotcha. Well, Coach, I got a really kind of interesting question. Specifically from the early 2000s to now, what has changed? It's specifically offensively. I know a lot of it's RPO looks. What is the biggest thing you've seen in the last probably 15, 20 years in terms of football?
Well, I think, for me, it's just the ability of multiple decisions in a play. Like quarterbacks, the whole RPO thing is one thing. You also have the pass run options, where it's pass first and then run late. But it's also where receivers and quarterbacks can basically change the play in the middle. So it may be you may have called all verticals, and if they're by rule over a certain distance back, that they just check it down, and then the quarterbacks all have to be on the same page. I think those pieces have been big. The use of motions, and then different formational alignments to basically create additional gaps. None of it's all revolutionary, but it's all how you package it and how you're able to teach it to your kids to be able to do as much of that as you can, because you want to be as multiple as you can,
Right.
but it's simple for your kids, but look really tough to the opponent.
Right. Last thing I was going to ask, maybe tell us a little bit about something that fans don't know about yourself. Something interesting.
Huh?
Anything?
I like yard work. No, that's an interesting question. I hadn't really thought about that. It's something that interests me. I I have two kids. Obviously, both my son played football at University of Texas Permian Basin. Played receiver, and my daughter played softball and volleyball. Which she started high school, finished as just volleyball, but really being active in their lives and being with them to as many of their events as I can. My wife's a school nurse, and so she's involved in the school community as well. So really, our biggest deal is just to be a part of the community and be present and be available to help our kids here grow to be the best people that they can be. But other than that, I don't have a lot of hobbies. I do sports and I do yard work. That's about it.
I understand that. I'm a sports guy myself. I understand that, Coach. Well, Coach, I'll say this from a fan. I'm really excited about this upcoming season and for you and just the overall program, the direction. I was really excited when they hired you. Appreciate you coming on the show tonight, and thank you for all you do for Lufkin Panther Sports.
Well, appreciate you having me on. I look forward to what's coming the rest of the spring and then obviously in the fall.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coach.